Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
Well, it's one thing about when you travel a lot, you experience the same storm twice. Right.
Yeah.
When we took off from Iowa, and I'll get to the game in a second. We took off from Iowa. They held us on the ground for about 40 minutes. The FAA did, and I don't mean like the FAA held us on the ground because of this storm. Because when I was getting on the plane, it was really windy and it was just starting to rain. And so we ended up getting back. Geez, I walked to my house at 3:30 in the morning. But of course, but always remember though, it's the NCAA and the Big Ten. It's really all about the kids.
Sure.
Oh,
You bet.
oh, people just. Put you on.
Absolutely about the kids. The stuff that fits in your wallet. No, it's all about the kids.
It's all about the kids. They're just trying to be banks. All right. Maybe later in the show I'm going to get to that because this private equity thing, and it's technically not private equity, but no offense, you've got to phrase this in such a way where the fans understand it. Okay?
Yeah.
It's not exactly private equity, but it's the only way for people to understand it. So you have to explain. Michigan's balking at it.
Yeah.
It's not as
and they've been
right. And remember, they have an interim president. The Board of Regents has more sway. Okay. So now let's get to the game on Saturday night. Look, they played hard. I mean, hard, gutsy, the whole deal. Right? Okay. Now you got to get to the butt part. But quarterbacks running the ball have hurt this team in this streak. In 3 of the 4 games.
Yeah.
In 3 of the 4 games. It does get to the point, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. It's got to be, this is, no offense, this is going to sound like the most obvious thing in the face of the earth. You got to fix it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? It's got to be fixed. Now, it's not as if there aren't, and I mean it's got to be fixed by the players.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Okay, because they're being coached in such a way by Dan, Jim, right, Dex, to watch out for that. But you've got to be able to be in the right spot and execute it. And Moore hurt them for 63 yards rushing, something like that.
Yeah.
Was that right around the number?
Yeah, right around there, yeah.
Right? Scrambles. Now, a lot of those were like, okay, scrambles, he ended up. But he hurt them running the ball in that game. Iamaleava obviously killed them in that game. And there was all scrambles, nothing planned. I mean, the touchdown run's a planned play. I mean, that's
sure.
A planned play. I'm talking about the 4 scrambles for 120 yards. That's the ball game. Okay? They stop any of those.
Especially if they had all the momentum in the world. It's a 27-21 game. They stopped that third down where he runs for 58 or whatever he got.
52.
Yeah, 52, yeah.
Yards.
Yeah, that was absolutely a huge play.
Penn State wins the game if they do that. Because that was a 3rd and 22 or something.
That was 3rd and long. It was 3rd and long.
It was like 3rd and 20.
Yeah.
All right. You stop that. Penn State's going to win the game. They're going to get the ball in great shape.
All the momentum.
Look, UCLA's not stopping them during the course of the game. I mean, they're going to score.
Yeah.
Right? Take the lead. Now the level of doubt. Start change. Okay. All right. Stone didn't as much. I mean, it wasn't like Stone didn't have a play or two. But Preston Stone in Northwestern didn't hurt him. And then Saturday night, Gronowski, who, by the way, when he was at South Dakota State, ran the ball, passed the ball, at South Dakota State.
Right.
He ran for 130 yards, a career high. His previous best had been 126. He ran for a career high 130.
Yeah.
You finally get what you've been aching to get for 3 weeks, and that is a 2-possession advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And it disappeared like that.
Yeah.
Like, doggone it. And why did it disappear? Okay? Quarterback running the ball.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Now, it's not as if there wasn't an interception that was brought back to the 1-yard line. It's a 2-play, 1-yard drive. That's a killer.
Sure.
Right? But that balances Penn State getting the Zakee Wheatley interception, was spectacular, by the way.
One-hander, yep.
Right? And then they were able to get the ball in the end zone. Katron Allen knocked it home. You're in this series of games here, here's what's been baffling. They have had the lead in 3 of the 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
They led in overtime against Oregon.
Yep.
They led Northwestern 21-16 in the fourth quarter. And, of course, they led on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
They led most of the night. And they have now lost these 4 games. Like, oh, this is bad, this is awful. They've lost by 13 points.
Yeah.
Now, did I think Penn State was going to win all 4 games? Absolutely. But you look at the last 7 losses that Penn State's had now, dating back to last year. These are the last 7 losses. You want to know the last time Penn State lost by more than 1 possession in a game? Peach Bowl.
Peach Bowl. Yeah.
That's the last time Penn State lost a game by more than a possession.
Yep.
They lost by 7 to Ohio State. Had their shot. Okay?
Yep.
Couldn't get in. They lost by 8 to Oregon. Had the ball with 2 minutes to go. Driving downfield trying to, on that possession, hoping to get a touchdown and 2-point conversion. We know they lost by 3, had the ball, right, to Notre Dame. Okay? Overtime, Oregon led. Okay? Gave a touchdown, tied. Then Oregon scored, then denied with the 2-point conversion interception.
Yep.
Okay? All right? And, then, of course, couldn't get in. So they lost by 6. Had the ball, 4th and 2, UCLA looking to tie the game. Where one of 2 things because of the time. Would James have gone for 2 or would he have, whatever, okay? We can, that's something we'll never know, okay? But, lost by 5. Okay? Had the ball, down 1. Okay? Drew gets hurt. Okay? On the 3rd down run. Okay? And then Saturday night. And in 3 of those 4 games, quarterbacks running the ball hurt Penn State.
Absolutely.
Okay? Moore was more conventional hurting Penn State. That's more conventional running the ball, right? When I mean more conventional, scrambled out, got 10 yards in the play, scrambled out, got 8. You know what I mean?
Yes. Sure.
Something like that, as opposed to 52 yards, 20 yards, 25 yards, or on Saturday night, 67 yards.
Yeah.
It's like when Penn State played Michigan. Remember, Sean Clifford had
the big run, faked everybody out. Yeah,
right. Yep. In that game at Michigan.
Yep.
But the fact that that happens once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
That happens once in a while.
Sure.
Like I talked Clifford. That happens,
especially on an option where you fool somebody.
Right.
No, go ahead. No doubt.
Somebody. I mean, look, the touchdown run by Gronowski. Look, that's a great fake. Goes in, swings around. There's nobody home. I mean, those plays happen. Okay.
Yeah.
Those plays happen. It's not like Penn State hasn't had stuff like that happen. When Penn State offensively has done something like that and just walked into the end zone for a touchdown.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, but to have the long plays like that from the quarterback, right? And you're not facing the wishbone here.
No.
Right? And that's been the thing that has killed them in games. Right? Sure. I mean, do you need an additional first down? I mean, everything plays into itself. Do you need an additional first down here to keep a drive going? Do you need, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Payne has got to catch that ball in the end zone. He's got to. The ball's well thrown. And the thing that's hard about that is that if Grunkemeyer keeps the ball, I think he might score. Because again, we've got a wide view of the field, because of where we sit. Right, as opposed to, and I don't know what For all we know, Peacock was off the air at the time.
They had their issues,
Okay,
especially in the beginning.
right? But like we're looking at him and thinking, God, he might have scored if he'd run.
If he ran it,
But he makes the right. But he throws a nice ball and he's right
and
there.
it has to be caught.
You catch that ball.
Yep.
That's the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And I'll never forget Joe Paterno on the practice field. If somebody would drop a ball, he goes, "That's the ball game."
Mm-hmm.
I'm quoting.
He's
I'm
right.
doing, right? I'm doing it, and with the impersonation, "That's the ball game."
Mm-hmm.
That's what he always said.
Yeah. He's right.
Right? You got to.
Yeah.
Right? It's like,
There's
and see, you point to specific moments and plays because Trevor Pena's done a nice job. He's been fine. He's been a nice addition, the whole thing. It's nothing to do with this, okay? But when you lose by one, you then try to find those spots as to why, right? And they lose by one to Northwestern. You try to one, okay? They're not losing by 40.
No.
They lost by one, okay? Northwestern. Not by 40, lost by 1. UCLA, okay, which now is going to be on Big Noon with Indiana this week. It's like, okay. I mean, they haven't lost. They won 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Right? But, hey, you lose by 5.
Yeah.
Right? Not by 40.
Yep.
Oregon, really good team. You're in double overtime. Not by 40.
You're the lead in overtime. Yeah.
Okay? And like now you start trying to find where is it?
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay? And like I've said, it's the problem that you have, and I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. It's still the same thing. It's still the same thing. It's easier just to put it in the context of offense, okay? So as opposed to putting in context of defense. Well, you can do the same. Defensively, I run 15 pristine plays. And then the other 5, there's a mistake. The problem is it's a different guy making the mistake every time. Not the same guy or the same position group. It's a different position group, a different guy on the 5 plays. Offensively, 15 pristine plays, 5 misses, and it's a different person on the miss every time.
Every time.
See, and that's hard to pinpoint on a team. You've got to make a change. Well, out of the 20 plays, that guy ran 19 really good ones, but he made a big mistake on that one. That guy ran 19 really good plays, but unfortunately on this play over here, he made a bad one. Yeah. So in other words, it's hard when a different person or a different position group makes the mistake on the mistakes you have.
Exactly.
And that becomes a problem. Right? At least if you got like the say, it's the same. At least you know where it is and you can mask it. See, that's the issue. When you have a different person making a mistake, or maybe a different position group on a play making a mistake, it's hard to mask that because it's a 1 or 2 time occurrence.
Yep.
And part of coaching is to mask your deficiencies. Well, it's hard to do that when it's not always happening.
No.
Right?
No.
Now the quarterback thing, I can't explain. I would have to ask Jim, like who's missing on it. Yeah, because look, Jim knows what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is not a case like, oh yeah, it's all like one guy's fault. It's all it's all Andy's fault. It's all Jim's fault. It's easy to do that part, and it's not that way. Like I point out, like when you're sitting there with your Andy and you're looking at it like, okay, something happens and this guy in the offensive line misses an assignment, or something happens and the guy runs the wrong route, or something happens and the running back went to the wrong hole, or something happens where the quarterback made the wrong read, or whatever. You know what I mean? Something. That's a different person, different position group every time. Tight end misses on a block on a fourth down play, right? Something. Right? In other words, like I just give you 5 scenarios on offense where 5 different misses were made by 5 different people, and they're all different position groups. I gave you. Defensively, right? A tackle or misses a gap. A defensive end runs himself out of a play. A linebacker's in the wrong spot, right? A blown coverage by somebody. You know what I mean? While the other times there were no blown coverages. But on
Right.
this play, there what? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's the issue when you have a different mistake every time. Here's the other part. When you are playing in close games, your margin of error is that.
Absolutely.
And I pointed this out, and look, this team wasn't supposed to have a margin of error,
Right.
okay, in terms of the offseason expectations. But when you've done this as long as I've done this, a long time, I've done a lot of seasons, football, basketball, and more often than not, when I've talked about tiny margins of error, I've talked about basketball. I know. Okay? I've sat there right in front of me. Okay? All these games over these years. I know when you have a small margin of error. And when you have a small margin of error, right, a lot of things have to go well. And this team, unfortunately, has a small margin for error right now. Right now they do. We'll see how the bye week plays out, how they can clean some things up and go from there. But they don't have a big margin for error.
No.
And, so a quarterback going on a 67-yard run, right, is crushing because your margin of error is always thin to begin with. And now you're working with your backup quarterback who doesn't have a lot of game experience. Right? Which then, again, decreases your margin of error. It's not Ethan's fault.
No.
I mean, Ethan was, I'd say, good.
Yeah, all things considered.
Right.
Tough environment, first start, absolutely.
I think he was good on, was he very good or great? No.
No.
He wasn't very good or great, but he was good. All right?
Right.
That's for one start. He'll be better for it because he played a tough defense. Now he's going to play I think the best defense in the country coming up a week from Saturday. I think they're the best defense in the country.
Not even close.
And maybe maybe the next team after is right behind them. Indiana's played really, really well defensively. But he did play a tough defense the other night.
Yeah.
A team that normally doesn't beat itself.
Right.
They still put 24 points on the board and just missed by one drop of winning the game, actually.
Yeah.
Okay? Which would have been 4 touchdowns. I mean, all right. But when you have a small margin of error, a turnover feels fatal.
Yeah.
When you have a small margin of error and you've got to get a stop,
That's
right? And then all of a sudden the guy breaks a 67-yard run, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Small margins of error put such pressure on a team. In football in recent years, since the start of the 2016 season, since the Minnesota game of 2016, for the most part, Penn State's played games where the margin of error was not that great until they got into, obviously, games with Michigan, Ohio State, the college football playoff games. The margin of error against SMU was, it's a playoff game.
Right.
Again, there's that tiny segment out there that just doesn't get at all how difficult it is to win. Oh, it was only SMU and Boise State. It was an easy path.
No, winning's not.
It was an easy
easy.
path. It's a playoff game. What do you mean an easy path? What's wrong with you?
Winning's never easy.
Right?
No, it doesn't matter.
But I'm saying, though, I think I look at people and go, you people baffle me.
Yeah.
It's a playoff game.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
The other team was not gifted a spot.
Right.
Okay, they earned it.
I think, and
Right? But I'm saying, though,
Yeah.
So you've got margins of error. Well, this team right now has a
Very
small
little.
margin for error
Yeah.
where, it feels like any mistake, and I'm talking about the mental part of it. Here we go.
that's where I think it's becoming
Right?
more and more. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I've done games both sides, looking
Yeah.
at teams.
Mm-hmm.
Where you'll be going along and the other team has a small margin for error, and then they make a mistake and you can see all the shoulders go down because they know they have a small margin for error.
Yeah.
And this is where they are right now.
Absolutely.
This is where they are. It's something that, everybody's talking about the psyche of the team, the locker room, da 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 da. The bottom line is you're playing the game, and right now, with everything combined, they don't have a big margin for error.
No.
So it's not. You don't have to play perfect. Right? But you have to have enough to, which they did in the game. They overcame mistakes.
Yeah.
They just couldn't overcome the last one, and that was.
Yeah, I think if you look at the beginning of the year and you're to ask somebody 3 times, you're going to trust Penn State's defense to get a stop, and they win this game.
Right.
I think more often than not, 3 out of 3, you're going to hear you absolutely get the stop. Unfortunately, just couldn't get the stop, and that's where the margin of error comes in. Right now, this team, I think,
and I can't tell you how to overcome the margin.
No,
of error.
I can't either. And I think at this point, when you look at it, do they miss Tony Rojas on defense? Absolutely.
Sure
There's no question. You miss a leader there. Absolutely.
Yep.
I think a big thing with the quarterback runs, it is out of position, no question. I think that's one thing that's noticeable, but the tackling's also noticeable. Right. I think you've got to tackle better. You've got to shore up there. I think that's the one thing. And you look at Pena's drop, the biggest thing for me is I think you're waiting for, and these receivers are great and capable of it. You're just waiting for the receivers. Absolutely. They all, and the same with
has
Ross,
a drop.
Hudson.
It's just like,
Absolutely. You're just waiting for that. He makes that play. You get the psyche of, okay, receiver made a big play. I think that's what you're looking for with this team. And that's where I think it becomes mental as well, which is tough. It's very difficult to overcome. I think Terry Smith hit it right on the head with the first question he answered in the press conference. I can't remember who asked the question, but he said, gave everything they had. There was no one that didn't give great effort, just have to execute.
Yes.
And of course that's going to fall on Terry. Of course that's going to fall on coaching. There's no question.
Sure.
Terry Smith said as much, but that's the biggest thing, the execution right now. And the other thing is those big quarterback plays are something that, as a whole, that this team is lacking, and that's explosive plays. I think this team absolutely needs more explosive plays.
Penn State only had 2 explosive plays in the game on Saturday night.
Absolutely. That's one thing I think they're lacking. I think, and again, it all has to come together. The margin of error, I think you're absolutely 1,000% on it. It just gets that much smaller, especially when you've been in the spot before. I think is the biggest thing. The defense being the prime example. You've been in that spot 3 times. You've now lost 3 times. Yeah. You have to be careful. It doesn't become a mental issue where if you're in that spot again, that the fear is you're going to do it again. And that's where I think you have to overcome that. And it's easier said than done. That is on the players. It's difficult, and it's something they have to overcome.
They only had 1
on their own
tackle for loss in the game.
Yeah.
Right? 1, maybe 2 tackles for losses. You know, defensively, you need more negative plays. They did get the interception by Wheatley, huge, which got them a touchdown. Great. All right? They blocked another kick. There have been 2 times in the history of Penn State football in 139 seasons where they've blocked a field goal and run it back for a touchdown. Marcus Allen, Grant Haley, Ohio State 2016, and Xavier Gilliam and Elliott Washington on Saturday night. Right?
Yeah.
They've blocked 3 punts this year. They've now blocked a field goal.
Special teams 3 games in a row now.
They've scored 14 points off on special teams.
Yeah. Had a big block the Northwestern game.
But that means you should be winning games.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's what drives you nuts because all 3 phases of the game are playing and you're still absolutely. That's the frustrating part of it.
That's just the hard part of it. It's like there's certain things that are happening that are winning plays.
Mm-hmm. And you're not winning games. Then that's absolutely.
I mean, look, that drive they had to get, that went 8 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, and you take the 2-score lead, something you've had the opportunity.
You're not on the road.
You've got to, absolutely.
Minutes plus, like 8:21 with the ball.
Quieted the crowd.
Scored.
And it's what, you look back at.
That's a winning kind of drive.
Completely. You look back, too, it's hard to compare year to year. It just is, and it's not fair in a lot of ways. But you look back last year what this team did when they had the lead. Just that physical, smash mouth, offensive line, dominate the line of scrimmage football that won you games. You felt like you had that on that touchdown where Allen scored, that drive where Allen scores the touchdown, you go up 11. You just felt like the pendulum was swinging, and you give up the big play. I agree with you. It feels like when you have stuff like that, it feels like you should be winning games, and you're just not. That's the frustrating part of it.
Yeah, you get an interception, that's a winning play.
Mm-hmm. First turnover in 3,
But you get an interception, that's a winning play.
Huge.
It sets up a touchdown.
Yeah.
You have an 8-minute drive that scores for you on the road.
Yeah.
That's a winning drive.
You just physically tire the defense when you're pushing the line of scrimmage, too.
You block a field goal and run it back for a touchdown. Winning. Okay, those are all winning plays.
Absolutely.
Excuse me, my apologies. Those are all winning plays. Right. Unfortunately, the game, and Penn State had the ball 35 minutes in the game. Okay, Iowa only had one game all season where they had the ball fewer minutes than the opponent. Right? And they lost that game. I mean, Penn State had all, there's so many things that if you go into the game and you tell me that they are going to go, they're going to get an interception. Check. They're going to set it up for a touchdown. Check. They're going to get a blocked field goal for a touchdown. Check. Okay? You're going to have your own field goal. Boom. Check. Right? They're going to miss a field goal besides the block. Okay? Because Drew Stevens. Check.
Right. Yeah.
Right? You're going to have an 8-minute drive that scores points on the road in the second half of the game.
And give you a 2-score lead.
Give you a 2-score lead. Check.
Yeah.
Right? You check all these boxes and those are all winning plays.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to count on Gronowski running for 130 yards and running 67 yards on a play.
No.
Right? I'm not going to count on that. And yet they got it. And it's for whatever reason, some of the big determining plays in 3 of these 4 games have been quarterbacks making key runs at key times. And most of them have been on scrambles.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, you just got to fight your way out of it. It's the only way you can do it. Okay? It's the only way you can do it is fight your way out of it. So they'll get back on the practice field tomorrow, right? And, this bye week, they'll do a lot of evaluation as to what's going on and then get ready for one heck of a team in Ohio State. Now, don't get all like, oh, look what they did with Wisconsin. I can tell you after watching the Wisconsin-Iowa tape, they're not good.
No.
Okay?
No. It's...
Ohio State, just toyed with them. And, I don't even know if I'm going to bother watching that tape because they have a bye week too.
No.
I don't know if I'm even going to bother watching it because I think Wisconsin is that bad.
Yeah, they're not.
So now here's let's get to the Florida news. Let's start with Florida State. Mike Norvell gets they haven't won a conference game in 400 days.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you realize that? They have not won a conference game in 400 days. So, okay, this is Florida State. So they give him, when they worded what they were doing today, the wording was he'll be the coach for the rest of this season. That was the extent of the vote of confidence. Now let's go to Billy Napier.
Yep.
There aren't many coaches that get fired after a win.
No.
And he got fired after a win. They've had enough. So he is now out. And for Florida, the search continues. Now, they had, to me, they had, of the group that they've had, far and away the best coach they've had is Dan Mullen.
Yes.
Far and away.
Yep.
3 New Year's 6 bowl games and so forth. And there was a comment he made about recruiting after a game that was completely, as usual, because again, Okay. There are certain people, that aren't smart enough to realize it in covering teams.
Right.
Because there's a lot of smart people in the room. There are also some people in the room that aren't smart. Okay? There are a lot of smart people covering teams in the room. There are also a few people in the room that aren't smart. Or there are people in the room that have an agenda and they will take a comment out of context. After a loss, he said, well, somebody was asked about, effect on recruiting or something like that. He said, well, I don't want to talk about recruiting or, whatever. The point was he didn't want to talk about recruiting after a loss. Didn't want to do it. It was like, well, see, he doesn't like to recruit. Like, jeez. Like, really? Really? Not saying it's the most enjoyable thing.
No, I'm sure it isn't,
right?
Especially in the offseason.
But he is far and away. But they got rid of him.
Yeah.
Okay, 4 seasons?
Yeah.
3 New Year's 6 bowl games, not good enough. All right? So he's out of coaching. Now he's at UNLV. He's undefeated. That's a shock. Dan's a great offensive mind. Not just a good offensive mind. Dan Mullen's a great offensive mind. Urban Meyer would be the first to tell you that. He was his offensive coordinator at Florida. Okay? But Florida has been, since Urban Meyer left, a program that's been twisting in the wind.
Yeah, twisting in the wind, and they've fired coaches in season, too. I think that's the other part of it. How many interim coaches have they had? Charlie Strong, Randy Shannon, I think, was interim.
Yeah.
You had, now you're going to have another one. So that's the other part of it. They've just not been able to get in sync at all. I think, Mullen, they did lose. UNLV lost Boise State Saturday, but other than that, 6-1 still. And he's a guy, I think he was 34-15 at Florida, which was, considering what they've had, Muschamp obviously didn't live up to expectations. No, not at all. Now this, that's.
And again, Muschamp was the hire.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Remember that?
Yeah.
He was like the hire.
Yeah.
Gotta have this guy. Defensive coordinator extraordinaire, the whole thing. He's the next big name head coach. And it's not, and whatever reason, I'm not going to pretend I know the workings of a Florida football program. I don't, I mean, I know there's always the assumption that within 50 miles of a campus in Florida, you got all these athletes. I don't know. I mean, Miami's never won an ACC title. It hasn't worked for them.
No.
So I was like, okay. So now they're the latest.
Yeah.
And it sounds like at Florida State, unless there's some dramatic turnaround down the stretch.
I really can't see how he can keep his job past this year. It didn't take a miracle.
Right. So Notre Dame, their pathway is now clear.
Yeah, I agree.
It would take a massive stumble for them not to make the college football playoff. It'll be hailed as one of the great coaching efforts ever, and blah 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 blah. Look, okay. USC was, after the first 2 games, USC was their toughest game.
Yeah.
They won the game.
Easily. Yep.
Right? The other games were, whatever. I mean, which game do you sit back and go, ooh, what a win that was?
None. The way they...
Until USC.
Right, yeah. The way they beat Arkansas, maybe, but not the win itself doesn't shock me. But, yeah, that's...
Arkansas had an interim head coach.
Yeah,
the whole day. I mean,
absolutely.
They changed their entire defensive staff. I mean, it's like, what? It's like, okay, they won on the road.
Yeah,
it's an SEC
on an early
team.
start. Which, it's
an SEC team.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever.
The win doesn't shock. I mean, the way they did, they blew them out. They dominated the game.
They were a huge favorite going into the game.
They were absolutely.
It's like,
but it's not.
Like USC was the one game you kind of looked at because USC's been playing pretty well, coming off a win over Michigan. I mean, that was great. But they've got a clear path now. Because the rest of their schedule is, you have to be kidding me.
Yeah, still have. They do have, they have Pitt yet, right? They should, I think.
Like I said.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm just trying to think of who they even play.
Did Pitt win over Syracuse, or did Syracuse win that game? I have no idea.
That's a good question. Because I think Pitt did win. They were up last I checked. They had 30-13.
Hey, they beat Florida State and Syracuse their last 2 games, so Pitt's playing pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Pitt's playing well. Yep. You're going to have Notre Dame's going to have Boston College on the road, who's they were 1-5. I don't know if they won last week.
UConn was beating them.
Yep. So
UConn was beating them in the fourth quarter, like 30-20. Now I don't know if UConn finished it or not.
38-23.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's a game that I think's obviously a win. Yeah. You're going to have Navy. I think of who else they play. They got Syracuse. The end of the year.
Syracuse does not have its starting quarterback. That's a big problem.
No, well-coached team, but they're missing a starting quarterback.
Ever since he got hurt, they have not played the same.
No, they've not played the same at all.
See, I mean, that's the problem. Syracuse now has to use its backup quarterback. Now, Pitt changed quarterbacks, right? And it's worked for them the last 2 games, so credit to them for doing that.
Sure.
But Syracuse hasn't won a game, I don't think, since they've gone to the backup
No, I don't think so either.
Right? And, I mean, that's a problem. That's that margin of error that we talk about all the time. And that's one of the margins of error that they have right now. So, like, okay. I mean, this is where we are.
Yeah, Pitt's playing better football.
Well.
Yeah, they were competitive against Louisville.
5-2, 6-2.
Yeah, they were. And that game's going to be at Heinz, I assume, or Acrisure Stadium.
When they play Notre Dame?
Yeah, I think that is a road game for Notre Dame. So, and Pitt's always good for that one when they shouldn't win. But I still don't. I'm still not sure.
I would have put Florida State.
That's what I was going to say. I'm still think that game is going to be a tough game for Pitt. I agree with you. I think Notre Dame's got their path now set, and
I think they've got a pretty clear lane all the way through.
Absolutely.
But that's where they are. At some point, this may be tomorrow. Jack and I were talking a lot about this private equity deal. It's technically it's not private equity, blah 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 blah. It's not, because it's the California State Education Pension Fund. Okay. But it is. It was Ralph Russo and Scott Docterman wrote an article about this, and it came out Friday. And I already knew some of this, okay? I knew some of this. This is not something I did not know, okay? But yeah, I did know some of this. The amount of debt in the Big Ten is way more than you realize. I mean, it is stunning. Like we're talking about the $150 million. It is stunning. Okay? And how do you... I mean, I realize that... Okay, because they were going to vote Thursday, by the way. So let's start with this. They were going to vote Thursday. And they tabled it. And I mean, listen, I'm going to talk more about this tomorrow. Because the NFL, your team won. That's great. Eagles won. Great. Okay? So there was no unanimous. It has to be unanimous. It has to be 18-0 to approve it.
Yeah.
And because they know they can't get 18 right now, they did not vote at all on it on Thursday. Okay? So now, most of the schools favor the plan. UCLA and Rutgers are like, they can't raise their hands.
I was going to say, they couldn't raise their hand quick enough.
Fast enough.
That plan. Yeah.
Okay? Okay? And And Tony Petitti says they've done a lot of work. It's going to create the new entity called Big Ten Enterprises. Okay. Here are the issues that they have. Now, USC and Northwestern are private schools, so we don't know what their numbers happen to be.
Yep.
It's kind of like your bank account over in Zurich.
That's right. All private numbers, fully disclosed.
What bothers me is you always go into the bank and ask for non-sequential bills. I don't. You scare me. Okay. All right. So, because it is not technically private equity, as public schools, they can accept the deal.
Yep.
Aha, that's one. Right? But Michigan, they say at Michigan there's a growing mistrust of the Big Ten office, and the financial autonomy within the school and conference remains, to them, paramount. Okay. So, Bill Acker, I think he was part of the board of trustees, said, "We are selling our equity. Enough is enough. The Big Ten has expanded 4 times, adding 7 schools in the last 14 years. On each of these occasions, we were told that the new revenue would be enough to cover soaring expenses." Right? Because remember, when a school comes in, the difference between the pros and college, okay? In the pros, there's an expansion fee. Right? So when the Vegas Golden Knights went in, the expansion fee was $500 million. When the Seattle Kraken came in, it was $600 million. They claim if they do it again, it's going to be $2 billion. Okay? Okay? Just so you know. Now, that tells you what baseball, basketball could be. But there's an expansion fee. Not in, okay? You go to a conference, there's not an expansion fee. Right? You're expected just by your mere presence to increase the slice of the pie for everybody. All right? We were told that we had to do this. A football title game would mean more money. More basic cable fees, more money. Adding Los Angeles and adding a West Coast wing, more money. I'm glad these institutions are part of the league. Now, he knew he had to say that.
Of course.
Because these are his brothers. But again, you have to show some.
You got to show, absolutely. Sure.
He says, "I really am. However, we are trying to solve the same old problem with a new and this time rushed solution. Now, we have to do this deal giving away 10% of future media revenue for the next 21 years. They are correct about that. Okay? Because part of this is whomever were to get a slice, okay, would have a 10% vote, but also get 10% of the revenue. So in other words, let's just take this particular year. It has been reported that in this particular year, the media rights will be about $82 million per school. Well, if they're getting 10%, everybody would see that instead of $82 million, everybody would be getting, at that point, $73.8 million. Now, they'd be getting $100 to $150 million up front. But is that enough of an offset? Also, the grant of rights would expand from 2036 to 2036. And what do the media rights look like moving forward? Now, Fox is locked in until 2036. That's the part I think most, I would say the vast majority of fans don't know unless they really research it or you're listening to this. Okay? So Fox's contract does not run out in 2030, 31. Does not. Runs out in 36. But at CBS and NBC run out in 30 and 31. Now, how, keeping them on board, what do you do with streaming? Right. What do media rights look like moving forward? Okay, don't know. Now, the Big Ten should be, along with the SEC, well-placed. It's the ACC and the Big 12 that should worry more. But again, don't ever think you're too big to fail.
Right.
Don't
no question.
ever think you're too big. You have to always be like, okay, let's be smart here, show some common sense, but don't believe, hey, look, we're the Big Ten, we're too big to fail. No, you can fail. All right, it is possible. Okay? That's why you look for what do I always say? Look for the unintended consequences.
Sure.
Okay? You've got to sit down in a room and spitball every unintended consequence you can think of. You may miss one or two because sometimes a crazy one comes up, but you have to. Okay? Acker went on to say, now we have this deal of giving away 10% of future media revenue for the next 21 years, even though no one knows what college athletics or media will look like. The ACC once thought a long-term deal was a good idea. Within a few years, they were suing each other. Right? That's their TV deal, not private equity.
Right.
Okay? These schools have billions of reasons to remain interested in cash infusion. Here's the part that people don't know. And I give Ralph Russo and Scott Docterman a lot of credit for sitting down. And, how I research the money part of it? I research it.
Sure.
Okay? That's why when I sit there and say women's basketball lost $46.8 million in the Big Ten last year, that's because I went through every single school and I added up the numbers. Can't do it for Northwestern and USC. They're private. Yeah. And Rutgers plays the old 50-50 game. It's exactly the same. It's like, really? This is what we're doing? Okay, great. Just give me the real number, because those aren't the real numbers.
No.
Right? South Carolina does the same thing. It's their way of masking how much money they lose in women's basketball. No, that's why they do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay? So it's the other, in this point, so it's $46.8 million on one sport. Okay? Well, the 16 public institutions reported $2.32 billion in athletic debt, according to the 2024 fiscal year financial statements obtained by The Athletic. Okay? I didn't say million. 2.32 billion.
Yep.
Those 16 programs combined to spend $281 million on debt service in fiscal year 2024 alone. Half the schools reported more expenses than revenues. Now, Penn State's not one of them. Penn State was in the black. Mm-hmm. Penn State just played at Iowa. They were also in the black. Iowa was like plus $2.4 million, and Penn State was over $5 million, I think. And don't sit there and be the person that, Iowa's $2.4 million in the black. That was because of women's basketball and wrestling. Right? Over here in the back, take a little time, do some research. Yep. Okay? Iowa wrestling lost $1.7 million last year, and women's basketball. And this is fiscal year 2024. Uh-huh. So this is the Caitlin Clark senior year.
Yep.
They lost $3.6 million.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, that's the huge.
Why? I sat down and looked at it. You can go to Equity in Athletics, right? .gov, and look it all up. They're all there. Okay? How did I come up with these numbers? Because they haven't been reported anywhere. How did I come up with the numbers? Because of my incredible educational background, I can add and subtract. That's all it takes.
Yep.
Right? Yep. Expenses, here are my expenses.
Right.
Number, here are my revenues. Number. Iowa women's basketball lost $3.6 million. Iowa wrestling lost $1.7. Yeah. Okay? So they were able to media rights, football.
Yes.
Now, men's basketball didn't help as much there. They still were on the plus side, but didn't help as much because, the women's team was selling out every single game. The men's team, their average was about 6,000 fewer per game. Okay? But when you have media rights, conference tournament rights, NCAA basketball money, things like that, it all adds up. That's why I always laugh when I hear, all the TV money that basketball gets. Excuse me, here in the back, you want us to send it back?
Exactly. The numbers you're giving are why it's critical that they have these deals, have these contracts.
Okay. Love your sport.
Yeah.
Don't be an idiot about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Love your sport, which I totally love it. Mm-hmm. But don't look up. We're way back. Hey, they only have it because of the TV. You want them to send the check back?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, no, okay. Don't make ridiculous statements, okay? All right? Don't do that, okay? Be happy they're getting it. It's helping you, okay? It's helping you.
Yep.
Come on.
No doubt.
All right? UCLA's athletic department, which did not list any debt or debt service in fiscal 2024. Oh, God. Spent $200 million more than it brought in over the last 5 fiscal years. Rutgers lost $41 million. They don't get a full cut of the Big Ten until 2027 because they're paying the Big Ten back. We all know about the Ohio State thing, which we talked about months ago when they came out $37 million. There's a lot of circumstances that went into that, which we talked about. But here's the part you don't realize. Ohio State has $150.8 million in athletic endowments, and they owe $287 million in athletic debt. Okay? Now everybody's not paying the $20.5 million. 5 years ago, nobody thought they were going to be doing that. Right? Penn State's renovation, of course, we know $750 million. Northwestern new stadium, $1 billion. Right? 35,000 seats. The most debt service reported, $312.5 million by the University of Illinois. Okay. Maryland and Rutgers still repaying through 2027. That means 28 is actually the first time they get a full share.
Well, yep.
They borrow from future earnings as unvested members. And, of course, Oregon and Washington get half shares, so they're going to get $41 million each this particular year, if that $82 million number is correct. Okay? Mark Bernstein of Michigan Regent said, who would have thought that the Big Ten Conference would need a bailout like this? And make no mistake, that's exactly what this is, a very big payday loan. Acker said using these soaring expenses until these soaring expenses are addressed, throwing money at short-term problems is akin to opening another credit card, Acker said. It's not as if the Michigan people are not wrong here.
No. Okay? I agree with this.
Acker says the Big Ten has told them. They say that we can do it more efficiently without selling assets. Collectively as institutions, we are very strong, which is true. They are. I mean, collectively,
absolutely.
This is as strong a base as you're going to have, but there's more cracks in it financially than anybody ever realized. Okay? So, Tony Petitia said, this is all about providing resources, making it sustainable. Now, when I talk to the Northwestern people, it wasn't the $100 million. You know what they said? You know what's more important to them? The grant of rights through 2046. Their exact quote to me was, this will let us stay in the conference.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That was the exact quote I got.
Yeah, grant of rights works both ways.
Because they've always worried about...
Keep shit in the conference.
They've always worried about being tossed out. They always have. Smaller, private school, the whole thing. And I know that going back to the Penn State vote, that was the big problem with the Penn State vote for them. They finally swung and voted for Penn State to be in the Big Ten after they were assured in no uncertain terms they weren't being kicked out. They were worried Penn State was replacing them. So they've always had in the back of their mind, that's always been part of the Northwestern mindset. So I was not surprised when that statement was made to me. Okay? When that statement was made to me, when we were just sitting there chit-chatting about the private equity deal, because at that point it was like starting to come out. There was the California State Education Pension Fund. It was $2.4 billion. It was between $100 and $150 million on a tiered scale, so forth. All right, and that was the quote. Okay, Petitti said this is about providing resources to make it sustainable. Every institution in the Big Ten is slightly different in terms of what their current needs are. Our job is to find the best path for everyone. I think another important part is to maintain that connection the Big Ten has to each other. The conference has been around since 1896. Okay? Look, I know there's a segment of the population out there that wants them to expand again, bring in North Carolina, bring in Florida State, bring in Virginia. You got to make this sound first. You got to make this part sound first. And this tells you that there are more cracks in the foundation than you realized financially. I'm going to talk more about this tomorrow, but yeah. Seattle, Toronto, who do you have tonight?
Game 7.
Okay. Thanks for being a part of the show. Do you know who's playing in the game?
I'm going Blue Jays. I think that
I'm going M's.
I'd like to see the M's.
I root for America.
So do I. I'd root for the M's.
No, you picked Toronto.
I picked them to win. That doesn't mean I'm rooting for them.
Look, Toronto was only America's team when they played the Yankees. They went back to being Canada's team the second the series was over. I'm going for America.
Seattle's just making too many mistakes right now.
That's the first game all season they committed 3 errors in a game.
3 errors, but also base running. J.P. Crawford, if the ball gets hit off the wall, he's got to be well past second base.
I know he does. Yep.
And I'm talking that he was a runner on base, not the guy that hit the ball. So it's got to be past second base. And then Cal Raleigh hits into a double play at the same inning. So, yeah, they've got to fix those. So I'm pulling for the M's, but I feel like the Jays win it. Everybody in baseball has a soft spot for Ken Griffey Jr. Yes, he retired many years ago, but he was a major. I'm thinking Griffey.
I'm thinking America.
I'm thinking America. I'm thinking Griffey. Go M's, but I still think the Jays win.
Who's even pitching tonight?
That I don't know. Yeah, that I don't know. Pretty much anybody that is available, I would think.
Yeah, I know.
Would be in Game 7.
Who's at least starting tonight? I didn't even see that. George Kirby against Shane Bieber.
Oh, yeah, now I like the Blue Jays even more. I think Bieber's just been real tough this postseason.
Actually, I like Kirby more than Bieber. I think Bieber's been too sporadic. Kirby's been more steady. That's me. I know in this series already. They've Bieber's already pitched well, and they got to and they did get to Kirby. And that was in Seattle, but Seattle.
Go M's, even though I'm picking the Jays.
So, in other words, when I go to Seattle in February, I'm not to pick up any Mariners gear for you?
Oh, any time.
You don't even root for them.
I'm rooting for the M's. I'm just picking the Jays to win.
Look, they're playing a team from Bulgaria tonight. Come on.
That has 2 World Series to their name. The M's have never been in one.
That's my point. I want them to
get them in. I know. I'm rooting for them.
Come on. They got the big dumper.
Oh, he's got to hit well tonight. Suarez has to hit well tonight. This team's got to be better.
Vlad's hot again.
Yeah.
He's hot again.
He is.
Which helps. That helps Toronto. They're the home team. The crowd's going to be going crazy. Right? I don't even know they're going to play
the hotel rooms that have a view of the stadium are probably going to cost the price of a house, but it'd probably be worth it.
But I am talking to a guy with a Swiss bank account and non-sequential bills that can pay for it.
That's right.
Why do you ask for non-sequential bills?
Easy in, easy out.
Talking to a guy that gambles on Little League games. All right.
Good Lord.
He doesn't gamble.
I don't gamble at any sports. I would be more broke than I already am.
Oh, yeah, never gambled a dime in his life. Same here. All right. I know this went over.